Okay, so today we're going to talk about money creation and the money multiplier. Specifically, we're going to focus on money multiplier. Last video, we talked about money creation and how that was the bank's ability to increase the money supply by loaning out excess reserves. So today, we're talking about how a deposit that creates excess reserves can have a multiplying impact on the money supply through multiple banks or through the banking system. So you can see in the notes here that the money multiplier is always equal to 1 divided by the required reserve ratio. And when we take that money multiplier value and times it by any new excess reserves that have been created, that allows us to calculate how much the money supply can change through multiple banks. So if we go through an example, similar to what we did on the last video, we've got our bank balance sheet here. And on our bank balance sheet, we are looking at liabilities and assets. And let's say that a deposit comes into a bank that's equal to $1,000. And let's say that the bank is required to hold 10%. So that means that of the $1,000, we're going to put 100 in the required reserves. Now, that also means that the remainder of that money is going to go into excess reserves, which will be $900. So currently we're saying that $1,000 came into this bank in a deposit, and that allows this bank to have the ability to loan out $900. Now this bank has not loaned any of that money out yet, so the money supply currently has not changed at all. Okay? But as soon as this money goes from excess reserves to loans, and we'll add another category here, we'll call loans, and we'll say that loans currently are at $0. This bank has not loaned out any money currently. Okay? So when a deposit comes into the bank, the immediate impact to the money supply is nothing. The money has not been loaned out yet. But this bank now has the ability to loan out $900. So just this bank alone can increase the money supply by $900 as soon as that money goes from excess reserves to loans. Now, the last question that we want to try to figure out then is how much can the money supply, MS is money supply, change through the banking system? That's a pretty common question that we have to be able to answer. And so because this is talking about multiple banks, the banking system referring to more than one bank, multiple banks means that we need to multiply or use the multiplier. So we know that the required reserve ratio is equal to 10% because our bank is holding 10% of its deposits in required reserves. So that tells me that the money multiplier, MM, is equal to 1 over 0.1, which in this scenario is going to be 10. So we have a multiplier of 10. Now I'm going to take that multiplier of 10, and I'm going to times that by the excess reserves that were created through this deposit or by this deposit, which was $900. So 10 times 900 gives us an answer of $9,000. So $9,000 is how much the money supply can change through the banking system. Now what we're saying here is that $1,000 goes in as a deposit. That created $900 in loans. This bank can loan out $900. Now that loan is going to create additional spending. Okay, so you borrow $900 and you go and spend that money, and that spending is going to create another deposit in another loan at another bank. And so that's that multiplying process that we're referring to. One deposit creates a loan. That loan will create multiple deposits and loans at other banks, when we add up all the money that's created because of those multiple deposits and loans, the amount of money that is created or the amount of money that is loaned out through all those banks in this scenario would be $9,000.